of gold-backed playing cards will be issued later this week with the names of top Khazarian crime bosses and the size of the gold bounty that will be made available upon their capture. Some top Khazarians like the Bushes, Clintons, the Rockefellers, and senior lieutenants like Henry Kissinger are already being prevented from fleeing justice, according to CIA sources. The Khazarian Mafia rats who are able to run and hide have already begun to do so. Baron David de Rothschild, the Swiss-based head of Rothschild Continuation Holdings and of UK-based NM Rothschild, the effective head of the Rothschild clan, has gone off the radar, according to CIA sources. The group is now being run by the deputy chairman, they say. The phone number at their Zug, Switzerland compound also seems to be no longer working. However, a CIA source in Europe who says he talked to Rothschild last night, says not only are the Rothschilds not in hiding but that they believe they will be the only ones standing when the dust settles. Certainly, if they were the ones who pushed carbon trading as an alternative to killing 90% of the world's population, they won't face charges of genocide and mass murder like the Bushes and their ilk. The Chinese government seems to think they are okay since they have told the heads of over 20 countries they favor a Rothschild/White Dragon Society alliance, Chinese government sources say. No formal deal has been reached as of this writing, but contact was made just 1 hour before the July 10 deadline passed. In any case, in an interesting development, mass murderer, top Khazarian Mafia henchman and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is being investigated by Israeli authorities for massive money laundering in very high amounts, meaning billions of dollars, according to Mossad sources. For this reason Netanyahu has already made preparations to flee to his hideout in Patagonia, Argentina. The source says either a Netanyahu double will stay behind to take the rap or else Netanyahu will fake his death through heart attack or stroke. However, the real deal is off to the cold country, the source says. This could be a reference to the Nazi Antarctic bases, the source admits. Netanyahu may be seeking to hide because the Khazarian Mafia's situation in the US is reaching a boiling point. Multiple sources inside the Pentagon and the agencies agree. The focus of the anger is the fact the FBI refused to press criminal charges against Hillary Clinton even though FBI Director James Comey publicly accused her of crime. Here is how a Pentagon sources summarized the situation: the mass outrage at Hillary skating and Department of Justice corruption unites the GOP, mil/intel/law enforcement community into a powerful force for regime change against the backdrop of global currency reset and new republic with gold-backed currency. Even though Hillary Clinton avoided criminal charges, her presidential bid has been effectively destroyed by the negative publicity surrounding this fiasco. She is damaged goods who lost the public trust and any chance of winning the White House since she may be denied security clearances and classified intelligence briefings, the Pentagon source explains. The source also says President Obama hates Hillary and leaked the email server information in March 2015 to make sure Hillary won't win, even as he pretends to campaign for her. Comey's press conference also left on the public record many grounds for Hillary to be charged with crime in the future. These include leaking state secrets to Israel, gross negligence with classified information, perjury to Congress over Benghazi and much more. Public outrage has already forced the U.S. State Department to announce they will reopen the investigation into her emails. The Pentagon and agencies have also cut off Hillary's access to classified information as a result of this scandal. In any case, the entire email scandal is a distraction from the Clinton Foundation corruption that threatens to take down most of the Washington, D.C. political establishment. To prevent the Clinton Foundation troubles from spreading, there is also Kill Bill talk at high levels. Here is how the Pentagon source put it. A state funeral for Bill would silence Hillary forever, but she would still be prosecuted for leaking and selling state secrets. Since Bill Clinton is the son of Winthrop Rockefeller, the Rockefeller faction of the Khazarian Mafia may be trying to distract from Hillary's problems by starting a race war. This was the seeming objective of last week's Dallas police shooting, which may or may not have involved the actual killing of 5 police officers by a man claiming to hate whites. The Rockefeller hand can be seen in the funding of the hate group Black Lives Matter. It can also be seen as David Rockefeller's grandson Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook put up a huge Black Lives Matter banner on its headquarters after the Dallas incident. Also, the Rockefeller-controlled United Nations Corporation followed by condemning structural and institutional racism in the U.S. Despite this, Pentagon sources promise the George Soros-sponsored terror group Black Lives Matter will not be allowed to start race wars to install martial law or suspend elections. Several sources also warned there would be a big attempt to use paid thugs to disrupt the Republican convention due to start next week. Many sources say they expect riots and trouble throughout the summer and heading into the autumn in the U.S. One Pentagon source went so far as to say that as far as he was concerned, civil war has already started in the U.S. The situation in the EU has also degenerated to the point that NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg admitted we are in a new situation which is different from anything we have experienced before. Although he was referring to relations with Russia, he was also admitting the world was entering uncharted territory. This is because the United Nations Corporation, the EU, and the US are all bankrupt, as are their subsidiary organizations like the World Bank and the IMF. At least the scenario for the collapse of the EU has already been charted by the collapse of the Soviet Union. It will mean that EU countries will leave one by one until a more democratic and transparent European structure, one that includes Russia, is established. The public squabbles between various EU leaders and factions since the British people decided to restore their independence make this evidently clear. The fighting has included Italy proclaiming a €150 billion fund to save its collapsing banking system, only to have the Germans publicly rebuke them and say they would not pay. Then Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi retorted by saying Italian banks' problems were tiny compared to the derivatives problems of other European banks. This was widely interpreted to mean Deutsche Bank. Renzi may be talking tough because his party is behind in polls to the anti-EU five-star movement headed by Beppe Grillo. Also, a €29 billion German bank has effectively gone under and may trigger a domino effect. The French people, meanwhile, are in a state of open revolt as riots there continue non-stop even though the propaganda press is trying to ignore them. Close to 90% of the population disapproves of President François Hollande. In these circumstances, the EU has already lost its power to force decisions on its member nations. This was seen when the EU tried to reach a trade deal with Canada only to have Germany and France say their parliaments needed to ratify the agreement. This prompted European Commission Chief Jean-Claude Juncker to declare that all 27 EU parliaments would have to do the same. The result is the EU leadership is now fully dysfunctional. There is a lot more to the EU chaos, but you get the general picture. Things are falling apart. In the newly independent UK, meanwhile, the official release of the long-delayed Shilkut report makes it abundantly clear that the Iraqi invasion was illegal and Bush stooge Tony Blair is a war criminal. The British are now seriously reconsidering keeping a military alliance with the US so long as it remains in the control of the Khazarian Mafia. The same is happening with the Turks, who have done a 180-degree turnaround vis-a-vis Russia. Last November they shot down a Russian warplane and asked NATO to start a war with Russia. Now, according to Turkish news reports, they have invited Russian troops into Turkey.